Now, to do that, I want us to go up into the 4 hours time frame where we saw a simple setup that we said we were going to be using to guide our trading activity at the beginning of the week. Now, during the Monday live session, we had this setup identified. The first thing we saw here was the fact that price action has been bearish for a while now. So what we did was to take into consideration what has been going on in the market since the beginning of the month of June. And to do that, we connected a series of lower highs, which gave us this as descending trend line. In fact, we have a couple of them here that has been supporting this bearish momentum. But something interesting was observed around the 1900 zone. You can see that despite the very strong lower highs in this market, we saw how price action was unable to find lower lows, as we saw here that as soon as price got into the 1900 level, we begin to see how sellers struggled to gain momentum around that area, and this gave room for buyers to push price to the upside. We saw the first one here like 3 weeks ago, and then we saw the second one here during the course of last week trading session. In fact, price was unable to break the previous low, hereby giving us a higher low to work with. And when we connected the series of higher low, we had a bullish trend line in our favor to guide that momentum to the upside. Then in addition to the structure was this beautiful reversal pattern we identified here. After taking into consideration this impulsive move into that zone, price rejected that level. We saw price come back into the 1930, our key level for the week. Then the inability of price action to break down the previous low was a clear sign that we are gradually going to be seeing a reversal pattern in the form of a double bottom structure. And you know how we do it in this community. As soon as we identify such patterns, the next thing we want to be doing is to identify a neckline which we are going to be using to validate the potency of that reversal pattern. And coincidentally, the neckline shares a confluence with that 1930, which I said was supposed to be our key level to guide our trading activity. And you know what we said here, a breakout of the neckline will be that beautiful opportunity we are looking for to join a bullish momentum to the upside, and that was exactly what happened in this particular market. And since the breakout happened, price action has moved over 300 pips in our favor. And don't forget that we had multiple entries on this one. So in fact, we were very and outstandingly profitable on the XAUUSD. And for those who have been part of this profitable journey, well done to you for being on standby to have caught this move. Now, during our live session yesterday, we were able to identify a setup here which actually guided our trading activity prior to the CPI data yesterday. So I would like to share with you what we saw here during our live session on yesterday's live session. And let me zoom right into that structure where we were before the CPI data gave us that massive move to the upside. So this was where we were during the live session yesterday. Price action was caught within this range between the $1,936.50 level and the $1,933.60 level to give us an insight into the level of indecision at that point. Then in addition to that, I emphasize how important that area is in the market. Remember, it shares a confluence with that ascending trend line, and as long as price remains above the ascending trend line, we know that we are looking out for buying opportunity at this point. But a breakdown of the trend line will definitely welcome selling opportunities. So you remember what we did yesterday. We placed our sell stop order below the 1933.60, hoping that if it breaks down, we can capture that move to the downside, which of course never happened. And then we also had a buy stop order sitting just right above the $1,936.50 level to capture a bullish momentum to the upside. And this was exactly what happened. And also remember that we added another buy stop order just right above the 1941, which I told you yesterday that if price breaks out of the structure, we definitely want to be adding more position to our existing trade. And in fact, if you had missed out on that one, the market came back to test that structure to give us more opportunity to join. So since yesterday, we have been on a very strong bullish momentum, as you can see here. And if you took advantage of the two positions, you will currently be running with approximately, let's say, from the first position here gave us about 240 pips, and the second position here giving us about 195 pips in profit. So roughly over 400 pips in profit at this particular point in time. And for those who took advantage of this opportunity, well done to you for being on standby to have caught this move. So right now, if you still have a buy position running, you know what we want to be doing next. Of course, we want to be moving our stop losses to secure all the current buy position. And I'm of the opinion that anywhere between the 1,955 and the 1,952 seems most appropriate to secure this position. Of course, you want to be giving enough room for price action to breed. Now, with a well secured position now, what is going to be our plans for today? So while I was trying to review the current market structure this morning, trying to decipher where price action is likely going to go, I was able to identify a simple setup here using key levels at this juncture in the market. And one of the things I observed here is that since price action got into the zone since the New York session yesterday, we have seen how price has fallen into a consolidation phase between the $1,963.50 level and of course the $1,955.50 area to give us an insight into the level of indecision in this particular market. And for the fact that price action remains within a range, we know how we do it in this community. We want to remain patient, waiting patiently for a new structure expectations here. I want to talk about the potentials that the sellers have in this particular market. What are the tendencies that sellers have, and what are the scenarios we want to see here that will make us consider selling? Now, if we look at the impulsive move that brought us to this point, you would agree with me that those who had bought the XAUUSD at a cheap price might be considering doing some profit-taking activity. That is, selling some of their positions just to scoop in some profit while still monitoring how the position is going to play out. And this, of course, normally reflects on the chart as a retracement of the previous impulse leg, where price action could probably drop back into the ascending trend line, which has been supporting this bullish momentum since the beginning of this week, or the 1,941 to incite another wave of bullish momentum. And in fact, if we do have a breakdown of the trend line, then we could start considering a sell-off in this particular market. So now if we are going to be seeing a retracement phase here, what are we going to see here that will confirm and make us to be part of that counter trend opportunity? Well, based on this current market structure here, you know how we do it. Whenever we have a flat range like this, we remain patient and wait for the breakdown retest of the 1,955 to happen before we join that bearish move to the downside. Remember what I just said there. We want to see a breakdown of the 1,955. Then only after a breakdown happens, we scale down into our lower time frame. It could be the 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 15 minutes time frame to look out for retest of structure before joining. We are not selling outrightly because we are on a very strong bullish momentum at this point, hence we need further confirmation that will make us feel comfortable selling the XAUUSD. But if you are not a counter trend trader and you're not a scalper, you might want to stay clear out of this and just wait for the culmination of that retracement phase before joining any bullish move here, because counter trend opportunities are very, very sensitive positions to take, as it will need a lot of attention in the market, as you would want to be moving your stop losses accordingly as price action moves in your favor. So for counter trend traders, a breakdown retest has a potential of bringing in about 140 pips in profit. So you might want to take advantage of that one and definitely move your stop losses accordingly. Now, if price action gets into the structure around the 1,941 and the ascending trend line, then at this point we want to see how price action reacts to that level to determine what our next line of action is going to be around that area. So that is what I'm going to be looking at here for me to consider selling the XAUUSD today. Now that we've discussed the seller's expectation in this market, let's go back into the major trend here, which is of course bullish, which is the most obvious possibility in this particular market. Since the beginning of the week, we have been very bullish. Why not still hold on to the idea of going bullish? Now, with the situation we have here, the chances of this price action transitioning into a trend continuation pattern is high. So at this point, I'm looking forward to buying opportunities at the breakout of the $1,963.50 level. Normally, from a technical standpoint, we should of course wait for a breakout to happen, then retest of structure before joining any bullish momentum here. Of course, that's what we should supposed to be waiting for. But since we are already profitable on the XAUUSD, we can afford to leverage on the profit we had made so far this week to test waters around the $1,963.50 level. So in that regard, I'm going to be having a buy stop order using some of the profit I've made so far this week to leverage that's bullish expectations around that area, and let's see how far that move is going to go. Then our stop losses should not be beyond the $1,959.55 area, just to ensure that we give enough room for price action to breathe there, and then we join the move all the way to the upside. But if you are new to the XAUUSD trade for this week, I will suggest that as soon as the breakout happens, you scale down into your lower time frame to look out for retest of structure before joining any trend continuation to the upside. But from my own personal perspective here, I am of the opinion that a bullish momentum still looking very promising based on this current market outlook. So let's see how price action will play out. Our center of focus for today is simply between the 1,963.50 and the 1,095.50 here, which of course you want to be marking out on your chart, as you will need it as a reference point to guide trading activities for today. So let's see how this will play out, and by tomorrow we shall come here again to review how well this instrument has been doing. So these are my views here on the XAUUSD. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comments section.